Hey guys, welcome to lesson 3.4. It is all about the triangle angle sum theorem. So this is still relevant to our angle relationships, but it's also kind of its own entity, which is why we've waited till now to do it. So basically, the triangle angle sum theorem, as you can probably tell from this picture, is the idea that all three angles of a triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so the three angles in any triangle will always add up to 180 degrees. Okay, so that gives us a lot of abilities to figure some things out in certain kinds of diagrams, right? So if we look down here at these triangles, each of them has a missing angle, and we can use this theorem to help us find out what it is. So for this first one, we know that the first two angles are 82 and 55. So if all of them have to add up to 180, then we can figure out what this third one is by subtracting those from 180. Okay, and perhaps a better way to talk about this before we do it that way is to note that 82 plus 55 plus some x, we'll call this x. Okay, that all has to equal 180. And so what we can end up doing is saying, okay, well, 180 minus 82 minus 55 is how we can essentially solve for x. Okay, so when we actually do that, we are going to get an answer of 43. So our answer for our missing angle is 43 degrees. All right, let's do another one. We have two angles in here, 120 and 34, so we can just subtract those from 180. Okay, and then if we do that, we get an answer of 26 degrees. All right, one more. I chose this one because there is a problem like this on your practice problems, and I want to make sure you guys remember it or recognize it. So here, we only have one number in an angle, but we actually do know this angle too. We don't need a number because there is a box. Now the box means that we are allowed to assume that it's a 90-degree angle. Okay, that is anytime you see this box on an angle, automatically that means 90 degrees. So now we know we can do 180 minus 90 minus 41. And that's going to get us 49. Okay, and that's just a pretty basic thing. All you got to do is just subtract what you have and then from 180, and then that'll give you your missing angle. There's one other type of problem we can have with this angle sum theorem, and it's something like this. And you know, we did this with angle relationships as well, where you set up an equation and you solve for x. So here, if we know that all of these add up to 180, and remember this one right here, because it has the box, that means it's 90 degrees. So we can then say that 2x plus 1 plus 5x plus 5, right now I'm just adding these angles together, and then plus 90. That's the third angle. Now I've added all of these together, and I can say that it's going to equal 180. Okay, now that's totally fine for your equation. Okay, 2x plus 1 plus 5x plus 5 plus 90 equals 180. However, if you are going to simplify your equation, which you can totally do, that's another even better way to have your equation, in my opinion, because you're going to have to simplify it anyway to solve. So what we can do is we can combine our like terms. The 2x and the 5x can combine to make 7x. The 1 and the 5 and the 90 can combine to make 96, because 1 plus 5 plus 90 is 96. and then you can say that is equal to 180. Okay, so that's another way that you can represent it. All right, and I'll just go ahead and write that this one is the simplified version. So now that we have our equation all nice and neat, we can go ahead and solve for x. So now that we have this, we can just do our line, subtract 96 from both sides, because we want to get x by itself. So we have 7x equals 180 minus 96. 180 minus 96 is going to be 84. And our last step would be to divide both sides by 7. Once again, that's because we want to get x by itself. So those 7's will cancel. And that tells us that x is equal to 12. Okay, and that's it for that. Now, if I asked you to figure out what these angle measures were, you actually could go back and plug 12 in, right? Like for this one. And it's not something I asked in this problem, but it's good for you to see it. We can say, okay, well, 2 times 12 plus 1, right over here, we just plug 12 in for x, and that's going to equal 25. So we know that this angle right here would be 25 degrees. Okay, we could do the same thing here if we wanted. 5 times 12, again, I'm just plugging in what I got for x, and this would give us an angle measure of 65. Okay, and you can even check your work. At the end of the day, these three angles have to add up to 180 degrees. We know that to be true. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's use this color. We'll say 90 plus 25 plus 65. If you add those together, those actually do equal 180, so you know that you did it correctly. All right, that is all for today.